Welcome to the Word Bible Software. In this video, we will be briefly looking at the book named Introduction to Exegesis by Robert Thomas. Let's go ahead and open up the Word Bible Software. And here you can see we have a view right here with our book in it, Introduction to Exegesis. Also, we have the RMAC, which is a grammar tool opened, and a Greek Bible down here open. You will understand why we have these open in just a little bit. Let's go into the about information of this book. Module properties, about. It's Introduction to Exegesis, Robert L. Thomas. Now, Dr. Thomas has written this very powerful introduction to exegesis. True biblical understanding and interpretation lies in solid biblical exegesis. This significant work goes to the very heart of the matter, beginning with a very accurate meaning of biblical exegesis. Dr. Thomas takes the reader through a very systematic study of the grammatical-historical method. This book is highly recommended for any student of the Greek and New Testament. Now, it's written by David Olander, Dr. David Olander. Something that's interest to us as the word users is right here. Among other works, he's general editor of the New American Standard Exhaustive Concordance. And so that is a resource that we have in the word known as NASB. And you use that from time to time, perhaps. So let's go ahead and go, okay. Some features in this particular module are verse pop-ups, fully searchable text, footnotes, cited passage page links, and we're going to get into that one later, and easy navigation of topics via topic tree display. Let's go ahead and go into the meaning of exegesis. You will note throughout somewhat in lighter text due to not make them intrusive but help them be there as well. It says P11, so this indicates that page 11 is found after this and toward the arrow is pointing in that direction. You will see some words like exegesis. You will see Greek in a dark maroon color and also in a different font throughout. You will find references like Acts 10:8 highlighted, and you can hover over those. There will be various pictures throughout. Here you go, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, finally getting to Bible exposition. And you can go throughout this book digging into various portions of exegesis. So going down, we're going to just kind of quickly go through this. There's excellent links along the side. You have here the main topic, and underneath it you have different ones. You have the rationalistic method, the mythological method, purely historic, extreme literal, allegorical, dogmatic or dialectic, the fragmentary, the cross-reference, systematized, and contemporary breaches of grammatical historical interpretation. So then he would name the author names these as erroneous methods of exegesis. So let's go into grammatical historical method. We get into the definition here, and he goes into definition of that here. And you can dig through that. You can look into where it goes in the Greek and things like that. Continuing on, you can get into the practice, preparation, interpretation. So we could dig in here. We get historical, Greek text, reviewing English translation, Greek commentaries, English commentaries. So you can dig down through that and see how he goes through that interpretation. You'll also find some Hebrew as well throughout. The interpretation process, proper, sources for lexical exegesis. And as we go in here, before we get too far, I would like to point out something. I believe it'll come up here shortly. So just stay up with me, and you'll see. You got grammar books, and you got Dana and Manti, which we're going to talk about here in just a second, and different things. Continuing on, let's go ahead and open these up a little bit so you can see some of the content in here. Digging throughout, you have your grammar books, commentaries, talks about different ones there, periodical literature, and unpublished works. So this is sources for syntactical exegesis. Categories of syntactical exegesis, you can get into that, and it goes down through. Now let's go to the contribution of grammatical studies to exegesis. The verb tense, conjunctions, middle voice, and the genitive case. Continuing on, summary of selected syntactical relationships. Now, this is very interesting. Right here, I would like to point something out. It says summary of selected syntactical relationships. Basically, he introduces kind of a grammar in here, a Greek grammar that gives many examples of different things, and you'll see why I say that here. It says for further discussion of these and other parts of syntax, the work by Dana and Manti, a manual grammar of New Testament, should be consulted. And you'll see the page numbering following the initials D and M. So you'll see as he goes through here, it says D and M and then page number. So if you have that resource, you can go ahead and open it up and go to those page numbers. So we have that grammar here. So let's continue on. So we have, open these up, we got the noun, the verb. So continuing on, he starts digging in pretty deep here into the grammars of this. So the noun, you can get into the case, prepositions, adjectives, pronouns, the article, verb, number, voice, mood, tense, and adverbs. So you can go down through there and dig into those conjunctions and particles. Continuing on, he gets into case uses, the nominative case, and goes into some in-depth there. Now remember what I said about examples? So let's go to the genitive case. Now genitive description, possession, relationship, and you can note throughout some underlining of different words as he points out those different terms and how they're used, of time, of place, things like that. Continuing deeper. Adverbial genitive of time, genitive with nouns of action. And what I appreciate here is he gets into in-depth and gives examples throughout the Greek New Testament of what he's talking about. The ablative case, the dative case. He uses the eight approach, 8-case system approach. So the nominative, the genitive, and then the ablative. You can see that 1, 2, the vocative case, 3, 4, 5, and I believe 6, 7, 8. So the locative case, the instrumental case, and the accusative case. So you can get into these. Going down into pronouns. You got personal pronouns, and you can see how he's digging down through these things. Let's just go to personal pronoun. See right here, su and su, both occurrences the personal pronoun. It's designating second person singular, relative, and he goes down through this. So you have not only intro to exegesis, you basically have a Greek grammar with many examples throughout, and it gives summary definitions of their various things. You get into the article, special interest, absence of the article. And you can see that here, without the article, noun may be definite or indefinite, but the emphasis is normally upon quality or character regardless. So John 1:1, theos, since it is anthros, it speaks of the quality of the deity. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God or before God, and God was the Word. So you can get into those things. Very interesting, goes further and further. Then you get into mood. And you notice here he's not talking about God being a God. He's talking about the quality of the deity, God. So you can get into tense. You can get into the present, imperfect, future, aorist, perfect, pluperfect, and interpretation of tense. Gets into some things there. The infinitive and then the participle. Now, before we go away from this area of grammar, I want to bring out an important feature of the word Bible software. Going into RAMAC, which stands for Robinson's Morphological Analysis Codes. You can click on a word in the Greek here, for example, and we see that it is an aorist, passive, subjunctive. So I right click on aorist and see this look up aorist in, and I go to this book that we just have open, Introduction to Exegesis, aorist tense. Click on it, and there we have it. Now, so it's constantive, ingressive, cumulative, and nomic, and also dramatic, and you can get into some things, and it gives us kind of some different looks at the aorist tense. When the aorist is constitutive, it views actions in their totality, whether it be momentary, extended somewhere. This is the broadest category of uses for the aorist tense. You can get into other. Principal attention is given to the beginning of an action. That's ingressive aorist. Get into those things. Subjunctive. What is subjunctive? Go over here, look up subjunctive, Introduction to Exegesis, go into it, and here you see it gets into some different, what is the subjunctive? So it works well with this, the RAMAC tool. You can get into the future here as well. Go to Introduction to Thomas, and you get your future tense. So going down through, you can see how often RAMAC will pair up with this Introduction to Exegesis using the grammar. There are some instances where it may not as well, but there are other instances where it does very well. Finally, we come to the end of this book, and we go to the index of passage cited, which is an excellent feature in many books that gets you into different things. Here in the Word version, we have Proverbs, Acts, for example. see, you can look up the reference, but you also can click on right next to it. If you look at the top here of this particular subject, it says reference and then page. So right after, and you might say, oh, well, Matthew doesn't have 118. No, that's not the verse reference. That's the page number. So click on that, and it jumps us to page 118, and we can get into where it talks about that book in here in Mark. So these are a few things that you can get into and study as you look at this module and get in and dig into this wonderful module for the Word Bible software. So as we close out, come on over to thewordbooks.com and check it out.